Hi everyone, it's Lisa Jane here again with another video for my channel, The Multidimensional Mother. If you haven't come across my channel before, then please browse all my videos. They all retain the energetic integrity of when they were offered. I am a healer and channel and galactic shaman, I suppose you could call me, who works from my offices here in Cape Town, South Africa, underneath the slopes of Table Mountain. What is it that I wanted to speak to you about today? Well, today is a topic that I get asked a lot of times, and especially with what we are dealing with and all of the pain, suffering, change, chaos that's happening in the world at the moment is, why am I so anxious? And if I am so anxious, how do I get rid of this? How do I change this? Because let's face it, being anxious is a very, very uncomfortable feeling. So before I get into the topic, I would just like to say that if you like what I share, subscribe, hit the notification, share with your friends and family. I only offer up information, material, guidance that is for your highest good and healing. And I really hold dear in my heart that my work is sacred and what I share with you is meant to offer you helpful information and support. Because let's face it, we could all do with a bit more support at this point in time, right? So let's start. I chat, speak, hear, read, listen. I connect with energy. Energy is my language. You could call me a multidimensional translator. I, for whatever reason, have been able to do this my entire life, but it has played itself out in different ways as I've grown older. I think I was probably a very sensitive child, a very empathic child, a child who instinctively knew what people were feeling and sensing. And I learned as I grew up that it influenced the way I responded to my friends, my family, and other people I came into contact with. I have been fortunate enough that for most of my life I've been a fairly calm person. I think I hold a naturally coherent field, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But there is an element of me that more often than not is calm and centered. Now, I know that many of you are suffering either confusion, anxiety, stress. Here in South Africa, we have just had, last night actually, we had a presentation from our beautiful president, the big-hearted Cyril Ramaphosa, saying that we need to go into level 4 again, lockdown, because of this Delta variant. So there are a lot of people that probably woke up this morning either feeling angry that they couldn't get hold of alcohol because alcohol sales have been banned, that they can't go out into a restaurant and meet their friends because social gatherings have been banned. So there's a lot of emotional energy that's buzzing around that we are not isolated from. We have a field of energy that our physical bodies are held within. We are connected to the life force, cosmic energy of the universe. We are also connected to the earth energy of Mother Earth that brings us nourishment and nurturing, and that we are anchored in. Not only that, but our soul that is incarnated in this physical body creates a light body around us that holds not only past life memories and emotional traumas, but holds our thoughts, holds our intentions, holds every energetic vibration that we create at any particular moment. Now, I could speak for hours on the subject, but today my focus is on anxiety and what it does to you energetically. Because I can see energy, when someone comes into my field, I see a lot of symbols and information presented to me about where they might be leaking energy, where their energy might be pulled away from them, and are they connected or disconnected from source and the earth. And anxiety is one of those energies that sucks the life force from our field. What does that mean? It means that inherently what we were doing is we are looking inward. We're worrying, we're anxious, we're worried about what might happen tomorrow, next month, next year. And when we do that, we're sending energy away from our field on thoughts, worries, concerns. And if we do that on a regular basis, it creates this energetic pipeline that is moving away from our light body, away from our energetic field, and in essence is draining it. Not only that, but when we become anxious, our physical body suffers, right? And because the physical body is suffering, it demands more energy from our light field, from our light body, to nourish and nurture it. Because everything is energy, the field that we hold actually creates our physical body, and it holds it in a certain level of health that is conducive to the energy that we have around us. So when we are in a state of anxiety, the body sucks a lot of energy out of that field. And that field becomes weakened and weakened until eventually you might feel it very much physically. You might have a tight chest, you might have a cramped up stomach, you might feel, you see when I'm talking I want to do this, because essentially that's what anxiety does. It pulls you in, it tucks you in, it reduces the energy in your field. I want you to know that you can reduce your anxiety. I want you to know that it is not who you are. It is a way of being that you have become used to. It has become a habit. And I am asking you to become more aware of your energetic field and to strengthen the energy of your light body. And I'm going to give you a few tips on how to do that. I'm going to keep the video short and sweet, but if the information I share resonates and you'd like to hear more, please let me know. It has taken me pretty much 54 years, it's my birthday next month, to really become aware of who I am as an energetic being and understand why it is often quite easy for me to stay in a centered, calm state. I am naturally coherent, which means I hold a field that is generally quite stable. Doesn't mean it's always the case. Trust me, I have my worries, concerns, and every now and then I might feel some anxiety. But for the most part, I hold the center quite solidly and I hold a field that is fairly calm. It helps me to hold that field when I'm dealing with my clients who are deeply anxious or traumatized by something that has occurred to them. So the first, in analyzing myself, in understanding my field, the first thing I want to share with you that is so very important in developing a field that is less anxious is to become more aware of the present moment. If we are out of the present moment, we kind of become like a fountain, that we send our energetic tendrils out and this channel here becomes more and more empty. As soon as we step into a place where we can become more mindful, where we can become more present, we act as the spiraling vortex that starts pulling in those energy strands. And our ideal energetic representation is a spiraling vortex of energy that is connected to life force source, whatever that creative pulse of the universe is, from which we all came, and spirals down into our body to connect into the energy of the earth, and then coming back up again, spirals and fills up our whole field. So this two-way expression of energy in a balanced way will hold our light body in energetic health that will not only help us mentally, but emotionally and physically too. So if we want to imagine this golden spiral that we want to try and hold, you can even imagine it spiraling around your spine, right? Because the spinal cord is the center of our nervous system, and our nervous system is very intricately linked to our energy system. So when you start to bring yourself more present, you start to create a stronger field within that acts as a magnet and starts pulling it back in. And the more you do this, the more you are able to, in an instant, bring your attention back inside. So being mindful is not only about being consciously aware of what you're doing. It's energetically about pulling your energy back from those places you might have given it away to. So that's the first step, being present, right? The second step, and very, very important, is to become more aware of your breathing. Most people who are in a stress state do not even know they're breathing. When I ask them to settle into a more gentler, even, regulated breathing, they can't do it. Because in actual fact, what most of them are doing is they're holding their breath. So if you're with someone who's anxious or stressed, they might suck in the air and then they hold it, and then it'll come out. So it's a suck in, a hold, a tension, and just a release, which is not necessarily using the breath as a vessel to anchor in and to bring your field into harmony. Because for me, the breath is the vehicle of the soul. It is the highway of the soul. It is the passageway along which your soul travels. And by soul, I'm talking about your life force. Because if the breath stops, our life force leaves our physical body. So if you like, the breathing is that channel that you can work with to really connect with the vibrational aspect that is your highest potential. So there is a method of breathing that I came across many years ago, which I used in my corporate life with my teams that I managed, and which is very, very much a way of being that can really release tension, enable you to de-stress and balance the two aspects of your nervous system, the fight or flight, and the calm one. And I'm not going to get too complicated here technically, but that breathing is coherent breathing. It's the coherent breathing that Dr. Joe Dispenza and others talk about. It was first, I think, developed by the HeartMath Institute. I don't know whether developed or they just came across it in their studies. But if you want to find out more about it, Google coherent breathing, Google HeartMath Institute, because you don't have to pay fortunes of money to learn how to breathe, right? You don't necessarily have to go to a very expensive workshop to learn how to breathe. Yes, it might help you, but there are many tools available now on the internet. And all coherent breathing doing is balancing the inhalation with the exhalation, working with your physiology to bring you into a state of calm. And as an energy seer, I know for a fact that if you can develop a field that is coherent, you will become more psychic, you will become more intuitive, you will become more connected. Because nature holds a language of coherence. It's how the trees talk to one another, it's how the fish talk to one another, it's how the swarms, flocks of birds fly together and spontaneously change direction. They are part of one field, and that field is a coherent field. We are not separate from that. We have become separate from that, but we are not separate from that. So Google coherent breathing, work on your breath. See, I just want to take a deep sigh. If you're sitting on your car, take a breath. Allow the breath to pull you back in. Put your hand on your chest if you like, to remind yourself that your heart beats whether you think about it or not. Breathe and bring yourself back into your body. Breathe and center yourself in your heart, the place in which your soul is anchored. And with being present and the breathing, you have two very strong ways to stop the anxiety. The third one is to really look at that aspect of worry. I have always told my children that worry is such a useless waste of energy. Because when you worry, you're worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. So you are creating stories in your head. You don't know whether it's going to happen or not. And where we are now, there is so much happening on a day-to-day basis that none of us can predict what is going to happen. So the more you can become present and mindful, and the more coherent breath you can follow and really focus on bringing your breathing into a regular state, the less you will find you have to worry. Because I read somewhere, and I can't tell you what book it was, that worry is a prayer for a negative outcome. Let's just think about that. It's a prayer for a negative outcome. So in actual fact, it is an intention. In the energetic world where everything is energy, a thought is energy. It creates things if we think it long enough. If what we've worried about has happened long enough, it might well materialize in your world. And please, I'm not saying that you create harm for yourself or you create death or illness or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, as an energy, worry is a waste of time. So if you are a worrier, look at that. Become instead a warrior. Become instead a warrior that says, I am taking control of my energetic body. I am going to develop the energetic strength of a light warrior who carries higher vibrations, who is positive, who is centered, who is mindful, and who tries to worry as little as possible. Because we are not always in control of what happens around us. But as you have so often heard, we are always in control of what happens within us. And where we are now as a humanity, we are being asked to very committedly and dedicatedly look at what is happening in our field. I'm just checking the time. Look at what is happening in our field, take responsibility for it, take accountability for it. There are many books I could maybe refer to you, but I think I'll just put a couple underneath that have been very important for my journey. But wherever you are, Google coherent breathing. Look at mindfulness practices you can implement. My guru back in the day was John Kabat-Zinn, and I was lucky enough to meet him face to face when I was going through a very strong period of becoming more mindful and aware of where I was, where my intention was, where my focus was. When I was living a very busy corporate life with 3 small children. It demanded of me to find that peace inside. And it wasn't easy all the time, but I found it, and it changed my life and probably changed the life of my children. So with that, I'm going to finish now. I want you to know that everything is going to be okay, even if it doesn't seem like it. I want you to know that the biggest lesson that this virus is trying to teach us is to be present, is to go with the flow, is to not attach to anything, and is to count every moment of every day as the biggest blessing. And if you wake up tomorrow morning to look up the sky, to see the sun, to feel the hug of your loved ones, you are truly, truly blessed. Sending you much love, and we'll chat soon. Bye for now.